It's hard to pick the best horror films, there are so many. We decided to save on hours of procrastination. Instead, we decided to break it down into decades, starting with the 70s. We appreciate that misses out a significant portion of very influential classics, but we aren't well versed enough to comment on pre-70s horror, so we'll leave it up to you all to fill up the comments with your recommendations. Hitchcock is the exception, but he gets a video all to himself at a later date. As a side, each of the films on our list spawned a sequel, a remake, a franchise, all with varying degrees of quality. What that says about Hollywood we'll leave up to you to decide. Let's dive into the 70s and start chronologically with The Wicker Man, released in 1973 and directed by Robin Hardy. Starring Christopher Lee, Edward Woodward and Britt Ekland, The Wicker Man sees poor Sergeant Howie trot off to Summerall to investigate the disappearance of a young girl. Now you know what we think of this film. I'll pop a link to the video in the description. It's a masterpiece that inevitably produced the most dubious remake in recent history. It's also full of fantastic performances, an inspired soundtrack, a record number of red flags, and one of the best endings in horror history. A strong start to the list, and not a film that should be remade, ever. Next up, also released in 1973, we have The Exorcist. Directed by William Friedkin and starring Ellen Burstyn, Linda Blair and Max von Sydow, the story follows Chris and her daughter Reagan, who becomes possessed by a demon. Sydow plays Father Merrin, who is tasked with saving the girl from a dire fate. We have been blessed with a total of 7 films in this franchise, one of which is in production and due to be released at some point. I watched this movie when I really wasn't old enough to, and still remember regretting it afterwards. This is a disturbing, scary, intimate film. I've watched The Exorcist multiple times as an adult since, and that opinion stands. This is testament to the practical effects, the music, thank you Mike Oldfield, the sound effects, the pacing of the film, the performances, especially that of Linda Blair, who was only 13 at the time of filming. I haven't seen any of the films that followed in the franchise, or at least I don't remember watching them, but the original set the bar really high, and I'd be surprised if any of them managed to reach its height. And so to 1974's The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, directed by Tobe Hooper. This film is a masterclass in tension and red flags. Grave robbing, the general vibe of slaughterhouses, the hitchhiker, the eerie petrol station, all fine, nothing to see here. Alongside Gunnar Hansen's Leatherface, who, let's face it, changed the face of leather forever, stars Marilyn Burns, Paul A. Partain and Edwin Neal, the latter single-handedly giving hitchhikers a bad reputation for all time. The plot is simple enough. It's the execution that sits up on a leather-lined pedestal, the grainy effect giving the film a found footage feel, the shot from the hallway as the travellers enter the seemingly abandoned house, the family dinner leading to the climax of the film, the iconic parting shot as Leatherface's fury spills out into the road. I could go on. With 9 films in the franchise, 1 remake included, the original has left its mark on the horror genre and endured for a reason. Following Land of Leather, we have The Omen. Released in 1976 and directed by Richard Donner, this film is an Antichrist coming-of-age story for the ages. After Gregory Peck's Robert Thorne swaps his newborn son at birth, he soon comes to regret his decision as Damien grows up and some serious shit hits the fan. Suicide, impalement, accidents that definitely weren't accidents. This is a significant cast. Alongside Peck, Lee Remick stars as his wife, Catherine Thorne, as well as David Warner, Billy Whitelaw, and Patrick Troughton in supporting roles. Considering this was Harvey Spencer Stevens' first role, he really mastered the stare. 6 films for this franchise and a remake that really didn't sparkle. Fortunately, the mastery of the original allows you to forget the remake ever happened. A particular highlight for me was Father Brennan's demise. It's operatic and very memorable. That and every scene with Mrs. Baylock, the stuff of nightmares. Next, and equally busy haunting your dreams, is Carrie. This 1976 yarn, directed by Brian De Palma, sees the titular Carrie have a really bad few days. What with the religious fanatic mother and telekinetic powers, it's a lot to take in. Played to perfection by Sissy Spacek, Carrie is haunting, sad, and a lesson in the challenges you'll face at secondary school, granted she has quite a unique experience. Joining Spacek, Piper Laurie stars as her cold mother, while Amy Irving, Nancy Allen, and a pre-Grease John Travolta play some of her fellow students. I really love Carrie for how personal it is. You see all of her vulnerable moments, her troubled home life, the nerves at talking to a boy, her first school dance, the relentless bullying, getting her period in the school shower. She's really torn apart and it's brutal. This time round we're given 4 films in the franchise, one forgettable remake. Someone needs to brighten Carrie's day. Really. Impossible tasks aside, we move forward to 1978, with John Carpenter's Halloween, the ultimate slasher movie, the one that sets the standard. Jamie Lee Curtis is Laurie Strode, unsuspecting teenager, babysitter and owner of some excellent hair, who finds herself at the centre of Michael Myers' rampage around Haddonfield. Myers, incarcerated for his sister's murder, is pursued in his escape by Dr. Loomis, played by Donald Pleasance. As if you needed to be told the plot of Halloween, you could guess this movie with 3 words: Sam Hain, escaped killer, job done. Much like the Freddy and Jason franchises, Halloween, with its killer theme tune, claustrophobic camera angles, just everything highly creepy, has produced a plethora of sequels, 13 to be precise. One remake with variations on the Halloween title, Halloween Water being the most out there by far. Hopefully with 2022's Halloween Ends, it really does end, because whilst this franchise is absolutely iconic, Michael's pet cash cow has been thoroughly milked. Rolling in the deep end of the dead, we have Dawn of the Dead, 1978, and I'm sure one that is going to cause some debate. Because, whilst there are technically only 2 Dawn films, the original and Zack Snyder's 2004 remake, I think it's acceptable to say they are part of a wider undead Romeroverse. Although the film may say more about the human condition than be particularly heavy on the scares, not necessarily a staple of horror, it's without doubt a classic containing some iconic moments. Roger's demise, the elevator swarm. With only main actors David Emge, Ken Foree, Scott Reiniger and Galen Ross, it's intimate and ultimately not a bad idea. Zombie breakout, why wouldn't you head to the shopping centre? Supplies, facilities, it's really a no-brainer. As we approach the 80s, we pause to appreciate 1979's Phantasm. Directed by Don Coscarelli and spanning 5 films, the original sees brothers Jody and Mike battle a sinister adversary known as the Tall Man, played by Angus Scrimm. Frequenting a mausoleum and aided by some dwarves and a freaky succubus-type woman mortician, the Tall Man is a force. This is a bizarre film, and unique, a combination we don't get enough of these days in my opinion. And what's with the spiky ball drill contraption? That thing is mental. I guess floating morning stars are a pretty brutal prospect. That blood just flies out. And let's not forget the Tall Man's bloody yellow undead flying finger. How could we forget? If I'm honest, I didn't know of the existence of Phantasm or the Tall Man until recently, and I consider myself a horror fan. Either they belong in the annals of underrated horror films and villains, or I'm doing something wrong. Our penultimate film is 1979's Alien, and one that became a topic of brief discussion at Corridor HQ. I don't think it's a horror film, the other Kobold thinks it is. I lost. This film is so well known and so iconic, I don't think it really needs a plot summary. Arguably Ridley Scott's greatest movie, just putting that out there for debate. Alongside Sigourney Weaver, Ian Holm and John Hurt, the Xenomorph is the camera-shy star of the show. From its inception with Kane's gut feeling to its final blast into space. It's a horrifying presence, largely in shadow and fluid movements, and let's face it, it made a strong first impression. It's easy to see why the 8 films that followed didn't match the intensity of the first. We are including the Alien vs Predator crossover films in that number, which you are free to block out at your leisure. We understand completely. And lastly, we come to the Amityville Horror, also a product of 1979. Directed by Stuart Rosenberg and starring the original Lois Lane, Margot Kidder, the Amityville Horror is based on Jay Hanson's book of the same name. The Lutz family, Kidder and James Brolin, move into a new house with a grim, murderous history. When they begin to experience unsettling occurrences in the house, they enlist the help of a local priest, played by Rod Steiger, to cleanse their house. Now, I'm pretty certain this franchise contains a record number of films, 64 to be exact. Let that sink in for a moment. And only one of those is a remake. If I'm wrong about that number, please let me know what tops it. A stupid number of sequels, if you can call them that. I'm very tempted to track down and watch the lot. I am a firm believer in movie music lifting a film, and the Amityville Horror soundtrack was no exception. Like a chilling child's song, it is one of the most memorable elements of the film. That and the devilish pig. And the gicky toilet. Anyway, those are our picks. Let us know yours. We've popped some honourable mentions in the video description. Next stop, the 80s. And as always, have fun storming the castle. Thanks very much for listening. If you'd like to contact us or check out what we've been up to, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. If you enjoyed the video today, please do like it, subscribe to the channel, and ding the bell to receive notifications about new videos. See you in the next one.